What it is, you guys, it is your girl Cadillac. Yes, I'm Cadillac Dixon. I'm the drama like prison wife. I'm the legally blind artist that is rapping and painting for justice, hoping, girl, because you got to hold your breath for justice. To see justice before all face to bleed. Yes, it's your girl Cadillac. Anyways, guys, I'm coming through today. February the 14th, 2026. Girl, I am so tired. I told y'all last night when I did the last video. This is part two of that video where I was covering the story of a Georgia man that was wrongfully arrested and put in jail for 46 days. Alleged, he was accused of kidnapping a child that was actually trying to help to keep from falling from a buggy at a super center. And he ended up wrongfully arrested for that. Now, so far, what we covered in that video was that one, they claimed they didn't see the surveillance cameras till later. And it's my opinion that they seen it right then, and they just were trying to basically they really wanted those cameras deleted, right? So once you get rid of the cameras, you have to then, like how I told you, it's a map. They cut the hole in the map. So if we can cut the cameras out, take that hole out, we can divert you from arriving to the actual verdict. What verdict means truth, right? So if we take this hole out, we can obstruct you and make you arrive to a different truth because you don't have all the elements you need. So I really think they had it from the beginning and they were trying to figure out how to work around it. Once you delete those cameras, then the next thing that you go by is basically testimonies, which testimonies allegedly can be coerced to go either way that they want them to go. There are many times people do not want to testify against people, but they are made to, or they are things held over their head that either you testify or this, and that happens to you. I really think that's played a role in my husband's wrongful conviction case as well. That is why the two alleged victims ran off and wanted nothing to do with the situation. Moved from Florida to Vermont and waited. And they really thought trial had passed, which trial did pass, and they thought it was over. They would never have to deal with this again. But they continued the case, right? Marcello's own defense attorney asked for a continuation so that he can get these two that never wanted a part to doing this to make them come back to Florida. So when they both came back to Florida, they had two different stories. And one appeared to be on substances, were jerking and acting all crazy on the stand, and he was getting caught in lie after lie. Both of them were getting caught in lie after lie. And then they also conflicted each other. Then the three officers conflicted each other and conflicted those two. So you got five conflicting stories. And then you got the sixth conflicting story, which is Marcello's. Marcello's version is completely different from all five of those versions. But honestly, the evidence that's in the case only aligns to Marcello's testimony. So, what could have proved Marcello's testimony would have been the surveillance cameras. And that is exactly why they immediately tried to make sure we never got a hold of those cameras, right? And now it's been so much time, they're gone. That's over 24 years ago. You'll never have those surveillance cameras. But that's what I believe they were trying to do in this case with this man. Once you take because honestly, you could try to guess light somebody to say you didn't see what you just did, what you just seen, which they do that a lot. They will show you a camera, a surveillance, and say, no, you seen this, and that. Like they'll narrate you in what you seen. But you kind of know what your eyes seen, girl. But yeah, I think that's why they try to get rid of that surveillance. But let's jump back into the story. Last night, my phone was acting up. My sister's phone that I was playing the story from was acting up. So let's see if we're able. Then we can go on and finish reviewing this story. And then I might be going to bed because I am really tired. I just worked back to back shifts. Man falsely accused of kidnapping child. Okay, here we go.
Parents, if your child plays Roblox, listen up. You can qualify
Always
for
an
up to
ad.
$300,000.
I hope this plays smoothly. Come on, I need it to play.
Where he could possibly find a little Tylenol. Okay? And he find a bottle of Tylenol. Disagreement about that is the question. In a motorized car, she had her baby in her arms.
Wait, hold on. So it's his video because it's not. I'm not on my sister's phone now. It's his video that is clicking in and out like that. Then.
And her 2-year-old son by her feet. You see it in the screenshot that we have.
Okay.
Patel a couple of hours over. She's giving him the answer as far as where's the Tylenol located.
Okay.
Then that's when Miller said Patel tried to grab my son and abduct him.
Wow. What an accusation.
Not even close. And the video was clear. There was no attempt to wrestle away the child. Quote, can't see this tug of war.
So she's making statements that, you're going to have to back them up by the surveillance. The surveillance is going to have to show that struggle, right?
Being back and forth, the attorney said it doesn't exist. Describe. You can see him lean in, very likely. And what he said. What did he say he was doing when he leaned in? He was trying to stop the child from falling. It was off balance. Attempting to break the fall of the child. Patel is seen with his arms, but doesn't appear to be attempting to pull the child away from the mother. Attempting to help the child not fall. Period.
So let the baby fall then. It calls all of that.
If you're in Walmart, someone in need, you're just going to have to let them fall, apparently. The attorney continued, quote, longer help handicapped people. It's the same. The arrest warrant secured by the Ackworth Police Department, small police department in a rural area of Georgia, accuses Patel of grabbing and pulling the woman's child, prompting the mom to wrestle. Now, this story broke. This story broke on all of the local news channels here in Georgia. National. At that time, you actually did have the video evidence contradicted what the police report said. A lot of news media still went with it. But it didn't add up because after the encounter, this is groceries.
Now, wouldn't the first thing they do go up into the little room where they had the surveillance is at? Like literally, I worked at the super center for half my goddamn adulthood. And the first place they went when they thought people were shoplifting was up in that room to watch them cameras. So now, if they go watch the cameras for something like that, allegedly, why, if a lady is saying this man tried to kidnap my son, would they not go run to that room and watch the surveillance cameras, right? Now, how I ended up leaving that super center, I had a slip and fall. They negligently had allegedly water all over the floor. And I walked in and I fell. I worked for another company. So the minute they found out I worked for the company, they started trying to fire me to write me up and get me out of there, right? But now this is where, of course, that was allegedly all courts are, not on the up and up. They they caused me to lose. They caused me to be permanently injured. This is why I have such a hard time working. And then they tried to put it off on me and say that I just fell in my dress. It was not all the water that they had all over the slick floor that caused me permanent injuries. And when they they didn't even call the ambulance for me. They would not even pay for the ambulance ride. I got hurt on their property allegedly. They would not even pay for that. That ended up in collections on me, right? So the whole, instead of making someone whole once you cause them detriment, they throw it on you. So the part I was trying to get to is when we wanted to see the surveillance cameras in the store. And I was told they don't have to release those cameras. They do not have to release the cameras, right? Because in a situation like this, if someone is trying to kidnap a child on your premises, I think they would be like very reluctant to allow the surveillance because they don't want to be in no ways tied to the incident that happened. Like, oh, your store is unsafe to the point where people are getting kidnapped inside your store, right? So when I slipped and fell, they would not give the surveillance cameras. And when they finally gave the surveillance cameras, they gave me a camera from clear across. Now there's cameras everywhere. And I even worked there, right? I remember allegedly the manager saying, I can zoom in on your hair, your scalp, and I can count how many braids you have, which he was telling us to warn us to not shoplift. I'm watching you. I can see you from anywhere in this store, right? But the minute I got hurt, they offered me cameras that were from clear across the other side of the room. And you could still see from those cameras that I slipped and fell on all that water that they had on the floor. They were trying to give me the worst version of the cameras, right? So I think that has a lot to do with that camera situation, why they couldn't get the surveillance, why they're alleging they didn't have the surveillance from the beginning. Because that's what, right before, see, all my injustices intertwined, right? My mother was wrongfully deleted during an outpatient surgery, and I was hurt due to negligence from a big corporation. My husband was wrongfully incarcerated. That money that I got from that lawsuit, I was going to use to try to get Marcello a defense lawyer. So I was banking on that money. And the way that they got out of it, that drug on for 4 years. And the week that my mother was unalived from outpatient surgery, and in between her funeral is when they called me to tell me, ma'am, you're not getting anything because it's your fault. You slipped in your dress. And then my lawyer told me, I'm going to drop you as a client because I never seen the surveillance cameras. But if I had seen them, I never would have took your case in the first place. I'm like, how the jail you ain't seen them surveillance camera? That's the first thing you gonna do is check the surveillance cameras. He lied and said 4 years later is when he looked at the surveillance camera. So he just believed I had a slip and fall, never looked at the cameras, and then proceeded to defend me. Like, are you kidding me? Like, all these courts, allegedly, all these justice systems. I know I talk about the criminal justice system, but all of them are they're messed up. I've even heard that children's services, when they go into the family courts, I'm sorry, those are messed up too. Like, they're not fair. They're not just allegedly. They're, I really think it's like a stage play. It's just the stage play to act out and keep up the illusion that your rights are being maintained allegedly, right? So that you don't question this completely just system, right? Because you had your fair shot, you had your fair chance. I think they were trying to withhold those surveillance cameras because if the surveillance cameras clearly show he never tried to touch that child, he was just helping them. Your case stands on nothing if the footage backs that up. That's why they were trying to take it out. So now you have to go by testimony, which testimony, although they raise their hands and they swear that they telling the truth, nothing but the truth, so help them what God, I don't know what they got they talking to, but so help them God, because they're mostly telling nothing but the opposite of truth, right? Allegedly. It's so messed up, this system.
General conversation. He tells the woman, "Thank you," as he walks away. More. But if that's the case, why is Miller apparently smiling after their encounter? The attorney said. Why didn't Patel flee the store in a hurry?
And where's the fight? Where's the altercation that took place? Where's her putting up a fight to, because you trying to take my child? I'm finna be, we finna be all up over the floor. I'm finna be whopping you know, left and right because you're not finna take my child. So where is all of that? Where's the surveillance showing that? And they said that he never left the actual camera footage, not even on that scene, and it took over on another camera. So where is all of that? And then you got officer reports that conflict this, that's saying yes, that's backing up what she's saying, that's yes, the man came into the aisle and was trying to take my child and this and that. So the officer I'm sorry, their report is reflecting that, but I can't see an officer coming in with that type of report and not going checking that surveillance. And then upon checking the surveillance, seeing that they would say, no, we have nothing here. What are you talking about, ma'am? Can we get you some services? Like is something like mentally wrong with you? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. Only thing that does make sense is that, like I said, when they accuse you, rather than dropping things, they want to press it all the way through and they'll take it from beginning to end. So they see the lady made a false report. So rather than checking her and actually punishing her for a false report, they're going to escalate it and make a report that will reflect her falsehood, make her falseness true, right? And now the only thing that can offset it is the camera. So let's take those cameras out. So that's your second obstruction of justice, allegedly. Then they'll come in and they're supposed to even see, can we even take this to do we have any like case here? And they allege they had a case. So they proceeded through. There's your third level of And this would have played all the way through to a jury. And once it got in front of a jury and that gavel hit that desk, that man was going to be gone and he didn't even do anything. And then at that point, they make it really super impossible to reopen the case. It's like you're being vacuum sealed, packed, and put into a freezer. Nobody, and you're there for that a length of time. Nobody's going to open your case. Nobody's going to listen to you. Your family that's advocating for you, people are going to just tell them they're just lying and they're advocating for criminals. And I don't know.
Is Miller apparently smiling after their encounter, the attorney said. I didn't Patel.
So why don't they, if they really do want true justice, they're there for justice, why don't they present the full-fledged case to the jury?
Alleged,
That's what you need to ask
but the video
yourself.
contradicts. Into the register, he sees Miss Miller. One said, he tried to steal my child. He sees Miss Miller. Second time, and appears to show her the Tylenol that she helped him find. Responds with a thumbs up.
Over $2,000.
Wow. What would make her?
An ebook.
This
This $27
just
AI
evil.
does it all. Designer writes, designs, and
It's
formats
hard to
the entire
understand
ebook.
evil.
Well, he's not fleeing in a hurry, not running away.
And he's just standing in the store.
According to the attorney. I don't see anything like that. So before Patel leaves the store, Miller is seen backing the motorized cart, the shelves, pharmacy, where it appears she actually.
So cases are not really allegedly to find the truth, right? Cases are basically won by hierarchy, allegedly. In a case, whether it is like how I said, my case with my slip and fall, the hierarchy is that the company wins over the patron, right? In a case when it's like criminal, the hierarchy is the way that they set up the society allegedly. It's by RACE. That's the hierarchy. So the person that is of the lightest complexion, this sounds stupid, but this is how they decide these cases, is going to be upheld unless the person with the darker complexion has green, has money. If they have money, it can move them up the ladder of the hierarchy and they could possibly win that case. But if there's no money, it's stripped down, it is going to be the person of the lightest hue that is going to win. It's set up that way. That's how our society is set up, allegedly. And I know to many, that is just playing victim. That's not playing victim. That's just being a part of a game you did not set the rules for. You didn't even start this game. You remember that song, "We didn't start the fire. It was already burning since this world been turning." We didn't set up this ism. Why would we set some stuff up like this where we always get the short end of the stick? But we live up under a society where that is the highest rule, right? So it is very hard for you to get justice in any situation, even within courts with families. They allege that, I've heard many fathers say, they cannot win because they always rule or majority times, more than not, rule in the favor of the mother, whether the mother is right, wrong, or other. In courts, in criminal courts, they rule in the favor of the person with the highest complexion. Now, if everybody got the same complexion, then it's a different story. The case is handled differently, right? But if it's a case where there's different complexions, just like in Marcello's case, they let all three YT people go, and Marcello Jackson, the only BLK person, is the one doing the 40 years. And then when I call them on it, they're like, oh, no, 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 that's just a coincidence. That's not artism. That's a coincidence. Like, I don't know.
Runs over her own child's foot.
And
Another
in this
shot.
case, the man is a Hindu man, right? And the accuser is YT. So it's still a hierarchy. She's higher on the rank than he is. So they're believing her word with no evidence, or with evidence that proves him to be right. How you gonna believe her word, but the evidence proves him to be right? Right? Because of her complexion is lighter than his. That is what it is. I know y'all say it's just being a victim, but it's just what it is. It's the
Comes
truth.
to her aid. Did not respond to requests from local media, comment on the newly released footage last month. Is actually not handicapped. Children wanted to ride Mariah's wheelchair. She blames it on the children. Child's father, Mr. Jeremiah Walker. Jeremiah Walker told Fox 5 News his
So
fiance
instead of
was, quote, shaking
apologizing
for
for what they did to, like, ruining somebody's life, they figure out how it's not their fault. That's narcissism. That's why I call this our relationship, our narcissistic relationship with the justice system, allegedly. It is very much a narcissistic relationship. Narcissistic relationships are one-sided. One-sided. One-sided justice.
attempted kidnapping. Physically, you could see she was shaking. Kidnapping attempt took place. It adds up to an attempted kidnapping based on common.
And they can easily charge you with kidnapping. That is a bad, horrible charge. But they can charge you with that without no physical evidence. You would think they would need evidence of, I'm trying to take another human being's life. Isn't there usually, like, I don't know. Ugh.
Effective analysis or review.
Some kind of way the person would be needing to restrain the person, either through fear, like fear of bodily harm, or through actually restraining them. How can you label something kidnapping and you're not actually taking the person? You're not withholding the person. You're not holding the person against their will, but they're labeling it kidnapping. And then for him to go to jail with those type of charges, you know, within within the prisons, there's a hierarchy of charges. When you got certain charges, you're either on a certain level or you at the bottom level, right? And that makes them their time to do very hard. Them type of charges against kids, like they don't. There's certain charges when you got that jacket, and they gonna find out what you in there for. They gonna find out, like that's not something good to be wrongfully accused of.
On the police report themselves. that did not exist for review. Department eyed on the police report themselves.
Yeah, my husband's case as well. I actually think I think they do that often because if you didn't do that often, it would kind of put fear in you to be lying on a sworn affidavit, right? Allegedly. But I think that they do it so much, my opinion, that they are used to it, right? You know how someone gets careless where they've been doing something so long, whether it's right or wrong, they know it's wrong. You know it's wrong, but they know they've never been checked on it. They know ain't no checks and balances. The justice system allegedly is something where we just feel like because these people promise to never do the wrong thing, that we just leave them all to their own, their own devices and just know that they're going to do the right thing just because they said they were going to. We never need to check on them. Like, who job do that? Even though I am trustworthy, my job still gonna check on me. They still gonna do some every now and then trying to like audits and this and that. Like, who does that? Because you said your word, you're going to uphold justice, right? So we're going to believe it above evidence. We're going to believe it above other people's testimony. We're going to believe it above everything because you said you were going to do the right thing. That's why they're doing the wrong thing, because you're not coming and overseeing. When a human, any human, feel like they got way too much leeway, they instead of taking an inch, they're going to take a mile. And they're going to keep taking, and they're going to keep taking until you make consequences allegedly for them.
It did not exist. Why? Because without those conflicts, you don't have the basis for an arrest warrant. Testimony of an individual, you have no witnesses. You have not provided the magistrate judge with a video. In order to make that arrest warrant stick, you must provide conflict. You must say there was a back and forth struggle, because the judge possibly would have challenged that particular.
Now, the judge does have the authority to do so, but like I said, they usually allegedly just cover for one another. I think many of these judges can see that these are bogus cases, but because it was one brought to us, wrongful convictions start with a wrongful arrest. So because it was started with our law-abiding, upstanding officers, right? That makes them look bad if it gets to that point of trial. And then it's like, okay, why did you arrest this person in the first place? It makes it look like they're not doing their job, which I don't care what. That's the only, one of the only fields where you could do your job the most horriblest against every rule, every protocol, and still be classified as doing your job, right? So why have protocol? The reason allegedly why have protocol? The reason allegedly they have protocol is for the people that they want to have protocol for. That protocol is in place allegedly. So it's a two-tier system, right? And the laws are written in shades of gray, not black and white, so that they could be interpreted, sorry, interpreted however the person sees fit to interpret it. It's almost like abstract art. I see whatever I see through my eyes. You see through your eyes, right? But we don't see definite same image, right? It's how we're in that image. That are higher on the hierarchy, we're going to actually play through protocol. But those that are at the bottom of the hierarchy, we're not going to play through protocol. We're going to do whatever we feel like, and then we're just going to justify it by we were doing our job, right? It's a two-tier system. It is so that they can give due justice to who they decide deserves it, right? Even though we're all supposed to be equal and all supposed to be afforded the same justices, same rights, right? But allegedly we're not. We're not.
Police report, it said, have just been falling. Is it possible it was a misunderstanding? I mean, to charge somebody with abduction of a kid is a big deal. You want to make sure that the evidence is there. So what happened? Patel was arrested 3 days later.
Yeah,
So 3
because
days
he
later,
would
they
have
concluded.
all type of restrictions over, like, once the time is over, in certain places he can't live, he got to register. It would be a lot.
Worth police said they also used stored surveillance footage to help them track him down. So that means that they watched it, watched the video. Statement they were, or they are, quote, aware partial video released to the public, but could not elaborate further so as not to compromise the integrity of the case. And the only people who have compromised the integrity of the case are the police. They're the only one.
The good guys keeping you safe, allegedly.
Press release announcement of the lawsuit.
So now, were they keeping him safe? Were they keeping him safe? I'm sure they say he came there, and I forgot what they said, engineering or something. So I'm sure he's a taxpayer, allegedly, and his tax dollars go into that system. Were they keeping him safe? Right? Because they're allegedly supposed to be keeping the taxpayers safe, right? All of them. Did they keep him safe? His tax dollars pay for him to be wrongfully arrested, allegedly.
The police actually viewed the surveillance video of the alleged incident. Still proceeded with the arrest warrant, refusing give the video to Patel's attorney. Surveillance video reviewed by police the night of the incident. Police showed no injury.
So the defense is supposed to get everything that the state allegedly has against them, but they refuse to show the surveillance cameras. That's crazy, right?
Attorney. Surveillance video reviewed by police the night of the incident allegedly showed no injury, use of force, attempt to remove the child from his mother's custody. This authorities move forward with felony charges.
They move
Patel's
forward.
defense sought access to the surveillance footage to prosecute.
And I'm sure he had a paid lawyer. I don't know for sure, but if he did not have a paid lawyer, I can almost guarantee you he would still be there. And by the time that trial came, or if he had to plea out, he would have been found guilty. Because allegedly, when they say if you cannot afford legal representation, it will be provided to you. It will be provided to you, but that don't mean they're fighting for you. If anything, allegedly, they're fighting against you. All they want you to do is plea, which is not in your best interest, or they're going to try to forfeit the case. They're going to try to throw the case so that you, if you do decide to stand up on your rights and take it to trial, allegedly, they're trying to ensure that you will lose.
Orderly sought to block its release.
So he had to have a paid attorney. I can almost guarantee you that. And that was not cheap. He had to be well-to-do and have a lot of money for it. So that means it's like a slot machine or a vending machine. You get out of it what you paid and put into it. That's not justice, allegedly. Justice is the poor is treated the same way as the rich, right? Because, like I said, money can move you up that hierarchy, but that's not justice. And that means those that can pay get a pass to do whatever they want, and they just pay and they get out. That's just like the cash bail, right? They say that's to keep you safe, but you know there's a lot of people that did things that can afford bail, and they're gonna let them out, right? So really, all it's doing is keeping the poor person in prison until trial, and letting the rich person go until trial. What is the difference? What's the difference? It's the hierarchy.
Patel have a mismerchant, his defense attorney, may be an ongoing saga for him today because they did everything they could have done to corrupt the fact that.
And I doubt he's the first one they've done this to. This is probably the first one they've done this to that actually got their story out, because they broke it on Undisputable, and then they start playing it on other news outlets, and then people started coming in and helping, and then he's free. See, this is why I've been reaching out for help, because there's no way that they would have done Marcello this way if it was within the public eye. They do injustice in the dark, right? You need light shown on a case to get true justice.
Crime had taken place.
Allegedly.
The crime.
That means you really got to be watching them. Remember they say, oh, they're good upstanding. They would never do the wrong thing. No, they do the right thing once they're being watched. Once it's in the open and in the public, then they do the right thing. But as long as it's in the dark, they're doing whatever they see fit. So I can almost guarantee you he's not the first person they did this to. That's why they were so confident with doing it. And like I try to tell you, it's not about your innocence or guilt. They gotta allegedly fill those spots and fill those beds. It's about money, allegedly. All the money they making off the person being incarcerated. And then they make hand over fist money off the families. It's so many ways they've monetized incarceration. Caught there. Oh, no. We're just doing all this to keep you safe. No, we're just keeping you safe.
Yes. Decide to ignore the rules of discovery, the individual on the same day publicly or to the attorney, evidence that would have exonerated his guilt. Age in an attempt.
That's the exculpatory evidence. I told you the first thing to go is exculpatory. Exculpatory is anything that is in your favor as a defendant. Anything that will prove your innocence, it is ripped out, taken out, and obstructed from the case off rip. Anything inculpatory, anything that could be viewed as possibly you did it, or it could be in favor of that, yes, you did. They're gonna big that up. They're gonna make that over. Like they're really gonna focus in on that. It's a one-sided case. And they're gonna present that to a jury. And then when they find you guilty, I mean, it should be questionable to people. See, people really think when a person is arrested that they had to have like really just fully just went through everything and checked every check mark and marked everything, crossed every T to actually arrest somebody. So they think by the time it gets to court, there's really no vetting we need to do. They would not bring an innocent person here, so they must be guilty. People have that much blind faith in this system. When no, they're arresting sometimes the right people, sometimes the wrong people. And it is up to the going through due process to figure out whether it's right or wrong, not just constantly saying, yeah, you're right, yep, you're right, yep, you're right, yep, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right. Like, what would be the point in that? Why even say that you have the right to take anything to court to challenge, allegedly, if they're always right? What is the purpose in that? And anybody innocent, I'm going to tell you, right now, my husband and I are wishing he just took that plea. We really believed in this justice system and thought that he could clear his name, right? Once we shown all the exculpatory evidence that they took out. And it's really, you can't, it's not like that, y'all. So we really just wish he had took the plea. It was 17 years. He would have been home a long time ago. A long time ago. Rather than having 10 to 12 more years to do. So what is the difference? Now he's just maintaining his innocence. But what is maintaining your innocence against actually being free? At some point, just say, okay, I did this and gone home. Right? He wish he had just took the plea. And that's how they get so many people. But most times, an innocent person allegedly is going to try to take it to trial because they know they did not do it. And they really believe in the system and think that a jury is going to find them innocent. They don't realize what's really being willed and dealed and manipulated in the background. It's what's happening in the background, y'all. That's why court allegedly, to me, ain't nothing but a stage play. It's just to keep up the illusion.
Manipulation of the facts via a police report and how they decided to describe what the public eventually saw through the video. The partial part of the video, we all aware of that. We've reviewed the whole thing. To not compromise the investigation, we're not going to say anything else about it. Another lie in order to manipulate this woman. Put her back up.
Started when I tried it once. And then every night, what's the worst thing that can happen? Didn't use.
Relate this one man's journey as he decides to traverse this world. This brother should have never been arrested.
Many, so many.
Decent and instinctive to assist a child who was losing balance. Not bad enough that he gets raked over the coals for doing something decent and good. Fear, age in allowing this to happen and then forcing this or attempting to force this to happen to him. An idea, state of law enforcement areas of our nation. It's a man. Never did a damn thing wrong.
So how is putting him in prison going to keep you safe? Can I ask you that? Because this is why you uphold this. For your own safety. So it's your own selfish reasons. Not knowing that if the system actually worked the way that they allege it does, it would actually keep you safe. It would.
As a matter of fact, was punished for doing something right.
Allegedly.
Bill remained in jail for 46 days. 6 days this man was incarcerated. Fabricated felony criminal attempt to commit kidnapping, simple assault, after a Cobb County.
And then what'll happen? Somebody that's actually kidnapping, they'll say, oh no, we don't have enough evidence to convict them. No, we had to let them go. That's that hierarchy thing. That's that ambiguous thing. That's that shades of gray thing where they can decide on how this goes, right?
brought the case before a grand jury. After Patel's attorneys obtained the video and then published it on the internet, which we shared it as well, sparking national outrage. Prosecutors decided to then release him from jail.
Oh, now they do the right thing once it was exposed. See, y'all just blindly they're doing the right thing, even though we're not overseeing them. We're not, well, they're good. They never do nothing wrong. My content. So once it was shown that they were doing something wrong, that's when they let him go. That's crazy. It had to be exposed. I told you, injustice don't live too long in the light. That's why you have to break a story. But it's hard as jail to break a story. Now we got those algorithms that keep certain content down to the bottom and not seen. We got certain words we can't say that I really need to tell you to really give you this whole story. I can't say those words, they're omitted. So it's so hard to break a story. But once it's broken. But they'll still fight against it then. They'll still justify it. But it gets harder and harder, right?
Took another 3 months accused to dismiss the charges against Mr. Patel to the United States from India to pursue a master's degree in engineering in 1990. Patel ended up losing
money.
17 pounds.
And if he didn't, he would have been in prison for however long they deemed to have given him.
His 46 days of incarceration remains traumatized.
And now they got to pay him some more money for this.
Because all he was doing was shopping in a grocery store and ran into a white woman whose child was falling. All he did. The Patel filed a lawsuit. Lawsuit is against Caroline Miller. Also accused him. Ackworth police officer James Evan Wallace, not pictured. The cop who arrested him. Deputy chief investigator Temperance Stoddard of the Cobb County DA's office and Cobb County.
If they started to actually hold them accountable like this, I bet you they'll start arresting the right people instead of the wrong people.
Attorney Sonia. There are a lot of people that like the DA, Miss Allen, and we have some mutual friends. I don't give a damn.
I don't care about that.
And was incarcerated for 46 days on your watch. And your prosecution.
And I can almost guarantee he's in Georgia. There's probably so many more wrongful convictions that people have been doing decades under her watch there, allegedly. Right? That's why it's important to have a conviction integrity unit. It's important to go back and look over these cases because a lot of people were just thrown away, allegedly. They never got their chance. So it's important to, when our loved ones file these motions, it's important for the courts to hear them. But what they do is they just bat it down. I really think allegedly is because they know that it's not sound. They know it's not sound. And they know they have to backtrack and say that, yes, they'll say it was a mistake. But I really, like I told you, I believe that wrongful convictions are purposeful mistakes. Purposeful mistakes. And this is why your streets are not getting safer, because people that are committing crimes, they're allowing to stay on the streets to commit more crimes. People that are innocent, they are putting them in prison. Innocent people. Are you innocent? You could be put in prison for nothing, allegedly. This should alarm you. But most likely, all you're doing is hardening your heart and not even paying attention to anything I just said.
Prosecutors, even if you didn't touch the case personally, Madam DA. Prosecutors are still employed by your office. Any prosecutor who touched this case and did not do the right thing, you are responsible.
Leading cause in wrongful convictions is prosecutorial misconduct. And the second is eyewitness misidentification. That's every wrongful conviction case. I rarely see one where it's actually a real mistake, an actual human error mistake.
Ethically, professionally, and legally. Period.
All right, guys.
No product, no audience, no text skills.
Here we go,
That's it.
another wrongful conviction story. But you still don't believe they happen, right? All right, guys, I will talk to you later. It's your girl Cadillac.